The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Normally, racing drivers are selfish creatures, driving for the glory of winning and the passion for battle. Their thoughts are almost always looking out for number one. But today, something unusual has happened. Egos are being put aside, and entire clubs are teaming up in order to work towards a common goal. In the end, we'll see which group has the most speed, the most talent, and the best overall chops in all of sim racing. You're watching the iRacing World Cup live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello and welcome to the Group C Road Racing Heat here in the iRacing World Cup. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth this afternoon is Bill Soup Zahn. Behind the scenes is our director Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, this year they've elected for a very iconic track on the roadside. Most race fans will know plenty about Suzuka, but for the uninitiated, why don't you tell us a little bit about the track?
Yeah, even the uninformed could surmise that just by the name that Suzuka obviously is located in the country of Japan. Now, it was created as a Honda test track back in '62. It's one of the world's few racetracks where the layout is in a figure 8 design. Now, personally, I would prefer that it had an intersection, but the designer decided that it'd be better and probably a lot safer to have an overpass at the crossover section. Probably a good idea that I wasn't consulted there. It's fairly long at 3.6 miles, or if you prefer, 5.8 kilometers. The circuit sports 17 turns, which includes the hairpin and spoon and Casio triangle, and then the infamous 130R. Now, today's race is 45 minutes. It's a sprint race in the IndyCar with enough fuel to go the distance. We'll find out if the drivers think a stop for fresh rubber is a winning strategy. I really doubt that it is. I think these guys are going to do this without a stop. But if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a GSRC lap guide certainly must be Moby Dick. So with that in mind, enjoy this lap around Suzuka in the Dallara DW12.
All right, we've got Sean Brightsman in the GSRC DW12, so let's do a lap around Suzuka. Turns 1 and 2 will effectively be taken as one corner. Overtakes are possible, but only if you can get fully alongside. There's a fair bit of banking to help keep your momentum up, but quickly, you've got to switch right at the exit because now starts the infamous S's. Each corner requires you to set up the car for the next one, meaning keeping a rhythm will be critical to a good lap time. Get offline, and it'll be hard to recover until you exit this entire first section of the track. Now we're going to just feather the throttle around this last left-hander that leads uphill into the Dunlop curve. In the DW12, Dunlop is easily flat out, but make sure to hold left at the end for the first Degner. A quick flick through this single-file kink, and then you're into Degner 2. This one's a lot slower, but once again, there's plenty of camber to help the car fly through the bend. After that, it's a short blast up to the hairpin. The kink on the entry makes overtakes an awkward proposition, but it's not impossible to pass here. Make sure and square off your exit for the straightest line you can get as you ease into the power. Now we take on the long arc of turn 12. With the gobs of downforce in the Dallara, you'll be flying through here and never lifting. Once you hit the end of it, hold right for the approach into spoon. There's 2 apexes to hit here. First is fairly quick, let the car drift out, slow it down, and then get nice and snug right up to the apex of the second part. If you miss it or the car gets unsettled, expect to suffer the embarrassment of your opponent breezing past on the long climb up the backstretch. However, if you're side by side by the time you reach 130R, this game of chicken will force at least one of you to back down. Otherwise, expect a heavy shunt. After that, it's not long until you're braking heavily for the Casio chicane. This is the last good place to effect a pass and probably the most straightforward one. This tight little right-left will test your prowess on the brakes, steering, and the sensitivity of your right foot all in a short span. If you nail the exit, you set yourself up with a good run to the line where you finished a lap around Suzuka. What driver doesn't like seeing a high downforce vehicle work its way around this track as they have for multiple decades now at the top level in series such as Formula One? But speaking of the top level, Bill, we expected Finland to be good with them being the number 1 seed in this World Cup tournament. But what we didn't expect was for them to do as well as they did on the oval side. The one word that we kept hearing from our commentators on that seems the most apt, and that's just domination.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine, but apparently they went 6 for 6. Now, the way the rules are set up, There's 2 splits. Each club gets, there's 6 drivers in the top split, 6 drivers in the second split, and the top 5 drivers score. So even though Finland went 6 for 6, I guess they wasted that 6th place finish. They could have left that for somebody else because that one didn't score. But, contrary to what my 6th grade teacher, Mary Kathleen, taught me, Finland is not part of Scandinavia. It's a Nordic country. Apparently, all Scandinavian countries are Nordic, but not all Nordic countries are Scandinavian. So I guess that's good for everyone in iRacing, because if you threw in Sweden and Finland and everybody else in there in Belgium in there, this would be incredible. I don't know why Finland is so good. Maybe it's cold, it's dark, I don't know, but they are something else. And I don't want to kill the drama that we're going to see here tonight, but if they were 6 for 6 on the road course, I'm just scared to think. Let's see if anybody can finish on the lead lap with them.
Well, we do need to point out, though, that even though it's looking likely for Finland, knowing how strong they are on the roadside, that they still have to do the deed. Mistakes can be made. I was watching the oval race, and even though it was looking likely, all I could help but think was that if those guys start racing, or if someone up at the front makes a mistake, the drivers behind could hit him, they could make contact, there could be something serious that happens. We could see something like that at the start of this race. It is a standing start, Bill, and a standing start down into turn 1 at Suzuka is certainly going to throw up some surprises.
Yeah, and for left-handers, maybe that's easier to, maybe you get really good at turning left, and if you got the talent, maybe this windy course that crosses over in a figure-8 pattern, maybe that'll be a little more challenging for them, although I'm afraid they're going to feel even more at home.
Undoubtedly. Now, we are seeing some good names in here, including some of them that have crossed over from the oval side. Martin Carroll, who raced on the oval race, is here racing for Team Australia and New Zealand. A familiar face to us, John Ulmer, is here today. We know he's good in high downforce cars.
Yeah, we've seen him in what series do we do? The Autobahn series. Of course, John's from Texas. Texas represented in this. Maybe we should talk about the clubs that are in here with us. We have Norway, which is Finland. Come on, Sister Mary Kathleen, teach me right. Finland is here. And then, of course, there's Texas. Now, they're the lowest seeded team. And then we also have the Iberian team, which the Iberian Peninsula, that's mainly comprised of Spain and Portugal. And then our other team is the guys down under, that's Australia. And there was a bit of a controversy about trying to find, poor Mike Willett had to find a time that worked for everybody, and that's hard to do when you got Australia.
Undoubtedly, they're a bit on an awkward time compared to if you could schedule for the U.S. and some European countries, like we have Iberia and Texas. It'd be easy to try and get them across, but then you throw in another trifecta of, the complete other side of the world, then you have some people that are going to wind up a bit unhappy. Still, we've got, looks like a pretty full field out there today, so everybody seems to have come out in force to try and represent for their club and at least make them look representable. So another thing that we need to mention with these cars, that the downforce make it a little bit hard to pass sometimes, especially on a track like this. Bill, where are you expecting them to make the most overtaking opportunities?
Well, I think it's going to be at the end of the long straights. I think you're going to look at it into probably into turn 1, and then, of course, probably into the Casio Triangle is doable. Now, I took some time, I'm not familiar in this car. Actually, Susan Flint of iRacing, she won't even let me drive this because she's afraid not only I will crash the car, she's worried that I will actually crash the iRacing platform if they let me drive. So I'm not allowed to drive these things. So I've been doing a lot of research from the outside and watching. I was watching some of the replays of during the heats. And surprisingly, most of the incidents, most of the troubles was in the slower corners, like the hairpin, where the front tires, where the car would get heavy on the front and they would lose the back end, not a corner exit, but a corner entry. And what worried me a little bit was the way that so many of the spins, the car would spin slowly and end up in the middle of the track. So I'm a little worried about some, to be honest with you, we talked about a turn 1, or actually it's going to be turn 11, the hairpin on lap 1. I'm hoping everybody can get through there cleanly, because if they don't, a lot of times they end up, it might be a parking lot. So let's hope. These guys are pretty good. Let's hope we don't have a problem on lap 1.
Yeah, we're seeing some high levels of talent out here. And since we're on iRacing Live, hello to all of our viewers on iRacing Live. Just wanted to clarify that Bill is joking. He's allowed to drive the DW12.
Yeah, I am. I shouldn't be, though.
Well, I'll hold you back from that, just to keep the world safe. And looking at that talent level, I see just Club Finland alone, like Rico Alatalo, Joni Bachmann is out here. Oh man, just incredible amounts of speed. And in fact, if I'm looking right, I'm judging by the names, it looks like all top 6 in practice right now, or qualifying, I should say, actually, are all the Finnish drivers, which is what we saw on the oval side. So it's already looking like we're going to see a repeat of just an hour ago down at Homestead, up here at Suzuka.
But this is just the middle step of what Mike Willett has done here in the World Tour here. They started with the heat. Now this is get them to the next round where they're going to meet up with. It might be really interesting. Some of the winners that we've already had on the other heats.
Yeah, and it's definitely been a lot of dominance in most of the heats that we've seen so far. We know UK and I did very good on both the oval and road side. Diach didn't do. Did good not only on the oval side, but on the road side, which was to be expected, but still they got a perfect score of 700 on the road side. And remember, Diach is the only other club to have won the World Cup, just Finland and Diach. So I wonder if we're going to be seeing a clash of the Titans in the final round here to really see who is going to be able to claim this year. Because last time Finland did it pretty solidly in terms of claiming that crown. I'm wondering if they're going to have a harder fight this time around in 2015. Looks like the checkered flag is out, so drivers are just completing their hot laps, and then we are going to go racing for 45 minutes here around the famous Suzuka circuit.
And we invite viewers to tune in again later tonight. This is the C group. GSRC is also covering the D group, which is Canada and a lot of United States clubs.
Yeah, so a little bit easier names for you at least, Bill. I won't get to be there tonight.
Yes, actually, I'm happy that you are actually, when we call off the grid, you are actually starting at the beginning here. You'll be calling off all those Finnish names. So.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Well, I'll have to pull from the time that Yerdianis was over here visiting, and he helped me out with pronunciation.
Say it with confidence and stick with it. That's our philosophy.
Yeah, that's the only trick. As we watch, I'm not sure which car that we're seeing heading through the hairpin. Looks like Marty Carroll finishing up his lap. He's got about just under a minute to complete this. He's heading towards Spoon Curve. Right now, Carroll is actually, where is he in qualifying? Looks like he is in 20th position, so he could still yet improve. In fact, he doesn't have a qualifying time. Must have had an off somewhere along the way, and hasn't completed a lap yet. In fact, we got a number of cars. Only 16 have put in lap times.
All 24 drivers' names are here, so that means all 4 clubs have put in their 6 drivers. But not everyone's turned in a lap. Of course, they have to do it cleanly, or they don't get an actual official lap time. So it's possible.
And we should point out that this is the top split. There are 2 splits in each of these heats. So they should hopefully have. We can't see into the bottom split right now as Carroll finishes his lap and, in fact, does not get a time in. We cannot see if the second split is full. We hope so. We'll try and send someone to get some information on that and keep you up to date of what's going on over there. But regardless, now all the cars are off the track, so the grid is set. Joni Tormala is on pole. Tommy Haka is in second. Rico Alatalo starts third, with Yunus Nukaren in fourth. Then it's Timu Valkijarvi in fifth, and Joni Bachmann in sixth.
Then we get to the Iberian Peninsula guys. Fernando Guerrero. Jack Baker is going to start in 8th position. Then we have Isaac Garcia Dominguez going to be starting in the 9th position. Sam Bourne, there's a familiar name we know, in 10th. John Ulmer in 11th, and 12th is Clark Archer.
Gabriel Perez will start in 13th. Scott Gruber in 14th, and Brett Wilson in 15th. Then it's Oliver Ciales in 16th. Anthony Kernick in 17th, and John Allo in 18th.
Also through the last 6, Joshua Anderson in 19th, Martin Carell in 20th, Benton O'Brien in 21st, Darren McKenzie 22nd, 23rd is Brett Trozine, and in the 24th spot, I don't see a 24th spot. Do you, Joe?
No, I do not. So we're missing someone. Only 23 drivers on the grid. We're waiting for the lights to come up, and we are off in racing. Now, Formula One cars usually have a standing start, but IndyCar has since abandoned that. DW12 did a few of those standing starts, so we'll see how these drivers can fare with this top-level American open wheel car, starting from 0 miles per hour at the line.
You can see the blue squadron up in front of those top 6 spots are all in that blue Finland colors.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be very tight up there here at the start, where the track narrowing down into those first and second corners, 180 degrees that they're going to get turned around, and then it's off through the S's, still waiting for those lights to come up. There we go. Waiting for the red. There they are. Green flag is out, and we are off and racing here in the C Heat for the iRacing World Cup. Yoni doesn't have the best of starts as everybody starts to gain, but nobody's trying to pressure him, knowing that he's got backup behind him. We've got a big wreck behind him, not seeing who that is yet.
Oh, it's Scott Gruder was involved in it. His turning car over right now. Scott Gruder had the worst of it.
Couple other cars that turned around, Josh Anderson and Martin Carroll.
We'll come back. Another car spinning right now is, see if I can find that one for you. Yep, it was Joshua Anderson is also spun.
Number of drivers not having the start they want. Joni Tomala, though, is looking pretty good up at the front. He's got himself a gap over Rico Alatalo already, almost a second, but still, our top 6 are all from the Finnish club. Oh, we've got another accident. Who is that? Jack Baker getting turned around in the hairpin.
Got a little help from behind.
Looks like he wasn't too damaged from that. Didn't hit anything. Just continues on, trying to keep Sam Boren behind him.
Jack Baker is a little damaged.
He's off again. A number of drivers struggling on these cold tires. Isaac Garcia Dominiquez. Apologies if we mess up anybody's name. Looks like he's going to be overtaken by Brett Wilson. If he can just get up alongside him, are we going to side by side in 130 on the first lap? No. Elects not to try and push the issue.
So a lot of stuff going on behind the Finland. What are we going to call that there? The 6 cars. They are a
Finland
squadron.
Army.
They are a squadron of 6 up there.
Yeah, it's still Joni Tormala at the top, Rico Alatalo in second, Tomi Haka in third, Yunus Nukarayan in fourth, and Timu Valkijarvi in fifth. Oh, we got another car spun. It's Isaac once again for the second time within a lap. That was coming out of turn 2, excuse me. In fact, that's going to demote him all the way down into 17th.
So in 7th position, it's Fernando Guerrero. Now, he's the guy who maybe has the best chance to break up that Finnish squadron up there. He's running in 7th and holding pace behind Yanni Blackman as they go
Guerrero
into the
from
right now.
Iberia. Isaac has spun 2 more times since we last saw. We're looking at 7th place for Nando right now, so I think Isaac has some damage somewhere along there because he cannot keep that car straight. We're now looking at Yoni in 6th, and you can see the gap between himself and the Iberian driver, keeping them in check, trying to keep this from being a rout in both rounds of the semifinals.
Yeah.
Iberia definitely has their fair share of speed, as you know from the MX5 World Tour, Bill.
Absolutely. And then in 8th position, John Ulmer. There's your first, I'm going to say U.S. driver, but actually he's a Texas driver in this the way they have.
He's still a U.S. driver.
Yeah. Well,
Let's see what
some Texans don't think they're part of it.
As our Texan director laughs at that comment. Let's see what John can do. We've seen him quite a bit in the AMGSC And we know that he's been a little prone to mistakes in the HPD. Maybe he's a little bit more consistent in this Indy car, and he actually goes off on turn 1. Is he going to lose a position to Jack Baker? Closes up. I don't think he's going to be close enough to manage to overtake him as we ride on board with John. Now we hop off.
John took advantage of the generous runoff they had there.
So I'm getting some correction. The last name is Whitelake for Timu.
Well, that's easier to say.
A lot easier. Oh, however, not easier is John Ulmer trying to defend his position. Jack Baker took it into Degner 1. Usually do not see passes into there. That took some guts. And unsurprisingly, Baker is from the Australian club. There you can see him taking him on the inside into Degner 1. Australia known for gutsy racing. And sounds like Ulmer. Oh, Ulmer's into the wall. Commentator's curse, I think, Bill. That was out of the hairpin.
Well, the phrase really doesn't apply, but for the guys who know the Autobahn series, it's the cheese is off the pizza. And you put it in the wall there pretty early on lap, well, only 5 minutes into it. Lap 3.
Sad to see. I was hoping to get to see some action because we know that Ulmer loves to come back through the field and try to make some passes happen. So there you can see, still up at the front, all 6 finished cars still just running everything at the moment. I'm running out of ways to describe a group running it out. Meanwhile, sorry, I got some information that I didn't quite hear. Sounds like we had a spin on track. Clark Archer now in 13th. Let me go back and look to see. Yeah, it looks like that was coming out of the Casio chicane. In fact, it wasn't out of the chicane. It was out of that final right-hander after the chicane. And he manages to keep it out of the barrier. Let's watch the replay. Almost noses it in, but keeps himself clean.
And I think we should point out now for iRacing fans, you're probably wondering, are there fast repairs on this? No, this is true racing. You break it, you buy it type thing here. So if you put the car in the wall, you're looking at your day ending, or at least a long repair.
Yep, there are no free repairs. There's no spare cars for these guys out here. Since the World Cup brings out the best of the best, they expect the best out of them. Here we see Tommy still out there in 3rd on the final podium position.
Well, since things are settling down up front, I'm seeing if I can find a battle anywhere. Everyone is nicely spaced here.
What we've got on screen right now is the best battle, if you can call it a battle. I'm pretty sure these teammates aren't going to be fighting too hard, since they know there's really nothing to gain by swapping positions or at least endangering each other. I do see that Guerrero still has less than a second up to Bachmann, or Rearman, as I'm told. It translates to in English.
Yeah, Guerrero seems to have the pace and is only just under a second now behind. Probably will be able to challenge up here and break up that string of top 6. That may be the most exciting thing to watch here as we're keeping an eye on it. We're on board with him right now.
Now, what I expect to come into play here, Bill, is the pit strategy. Pit strategy, it gets talked about a lot in the oval side, but it's just as important here on the road side as well. Especially with, well, I guess you pointed it out, though, since we don't know if they'll be pitting or not. But if the tires start to go out, is it worth trying to go in? Oh, and did something happen in front of him? Because I thought Timu and Yunus just slowed down a little bit.
But if you'll notice that if you look at 1 and 2 and 3 are really pulling away, but then it gets a lot closer when we get back to the drivers in 4th, 5th, 6th, and then Guerrero closing up that train in 7th position.
So I have to correct myself, since we probably won't see pit stops in this short race. Yeah, it probably won't come into play as much. This is what happens when you're looking for things to talk about during this race.
Now they're on full fuel, so they have
we got a mistake from one of the Finns. Yunus was a little wide on that second apex of Casio, and that's causing these guys to back up a little bit. This could be the opportunity that Fernando's looking for. If these guys in front make a mistake, that means not just one of them, but all three of them are compromised.
Yes, and I think, all three of them are happy to stay in line. They'll be happy to stay in line, but Fernando Guerrero could make them get a little bit of arguing between themselves, because the driver in sixth position, Blackman, is not going to want to be passed, so he's going to want those guys to get going up there.
In fact, Yoni's starting to become under threat through the
Absolutely.
S's. Up through Dunlop curve, he's getting very close. Fernando not close enough to try and take a peek into Degner. As we said, very unusual to try and make a pass into there. Could we see one down into the hairpin?
Into the hairpin is definitely. Didn't get a good bite off of that last corner at 9.
Gonna have to get a better run than that. These guys are definitely being held up. This is where I wonder, are they gonna start saying some team orders over their team speak? I'm sure these guys have got to be talking over radio with the coordination that they've had. Do you sacrifice one of them if he's losing pace? Let the other guys by? Oh wait, what's going on up in front? That's John Ulmer, actually. He was a lapped car. He was letting them through. That was very, very considerate of John. Good to see that sportsmanship counts over here in iRacing.
John driving his car is probably not that fun to drive right now. He put a pretty good shot in there. I'm sure it's not 100%.
No, probably not. Now, despite that mistake a lap ago, Eunice has started to stretch away, which has allowed his teammates to start to get some space, get some air to breathe, and not have Fernando just breathing down their necks in his 7th position. Now, it sounds like we've got a battle for P13 potentially. Actually, that's changing to P12. That's Brett Trocine trying to chase down Oliver Cierles. That might just be Cierles. He's from Australia.
Oh, he spins it.
Loses grip coming out of the Casio chicane once again in that right-hander, that final corner. And that is a deceptive corner, I feel like, as he loses another position to Clark Archer, who works his way past. Because I know in any high-power car, I've had a lot of trouble getting that power down, because you're coming from a very slow corner to a curved acceleration zone there.
Yeah, it takes a gentle foot, certainly. But again, I've been watching and reviewing all the replays that I was watching. More problems happened at corner entry than at corner exit. It was with the front tires getting a real grippy in the back, and the rear end getting loose and coming around on them.
And the other thing that I wonder about is, with this last group of Finns driving really close to each other, that aero wash is going to mean that you're going to get a bit of a push. So is that going to wear their tires out? Is that going to be bad for them? Do they want to really space out a little bit more here? This could be what's allowing Fernando to stay up with them.
Now, I think we can take time to point out that there are 4 groups, and the winners all go on to the next round, and then there's a wild card group. The bad news for the other drivers, the other clubs in this group, is that it's going to be hard to score a lot of points with Finland just being so dominated up there. The good news would be, and I would tell the other guys, that everything's important here, because there was a lot of dominations in classes in the groups A and B as well. So even though you might not finish in the, Norway one more time. Where's my square dog? $5 more for Norway. If Finland, and you know what? I apologize to all the Finns out there, because I know that's they don't appreciate me calling them Norway. Every point's important, even though you may not get into the top 6 because of Finland's domination. Because of the dominations in the other groups, you could still get there.
Yeah, never say never, and that's the racer attitude that we tend to see here, that these guys push for everything, as we continue to watch Fernando try to push and do something against this impenetrable wall of Finns ahead of him, sitting in 6th, 5th, and 4th. And we talk about the difficulty of this group, Group C. They tend to get a group Oh, and Brett Wilson, we're seeing him trying to recover from a spin coming out of the hairpin. That was in P11.
Hey, he's still sitting there.
Tries to get it going. Now. There we go. But he's going to lose a spot as Brett Trucine works his way by, and Clark Archer is going to take a spot as well, I think.
Archer with the momentum.
Almost weaved into him. Gave him room, though. Saw him coming at the last moment. I was going to say, with a group of this talent, the World Cup has tended to deliver certain names to different groups as we watch this battle continue between Archer and Wilson. And when you have a group that has just an incredible amount of difficulty, since they have Australia and Finland and Iberia in here, this has been called the Group of Death. Yes. Which, for Texas, I'm sure is not the greatest thing that they want to hear, but they've been trying their hardest.
Yeah, Texas actually, it was the 16th ranked team. I might have been 15th. They did a little shuffling around to work the time slots work. They were down 15th or 16th. Really disappointing for them, and they were kind of a result of just bad participation from the Texas club. It wasn't a matter of lack of talent from them. They usually are pretty impressive.
Well, to be fair, from what I understand, there's a few events going on in Texas at the moment that has pulled a lot of racers away, so that's why they're having a little bit of trouble getting people in. Now, up front, we hear like we might have a bit of a battle developing. Rika Alatalo might be catching Yoni. Riku Lowhouse, I should say. I'm told that that's what that translates to. It's within about 2 seconds.
I'm so glad you are doing lead on this event.
Well, you'll get to in about an hour or so here, Bill.
Yes, but I have Canada and Virginia and all the I don't think Virginia's there, but all the U.S. clubs is my next group.
So that gap, let's see what kind of laps that Riku's been doing here. 41.8, 41.9, 42.1. And what about his competitor? Yoni has been doing 42.0, 42.2, and 42. So yes, he has been closing bit by bit, just a tenth at a time. We could yet see a race for the front.
Now, Guerrero's an Iberian driver. I gotta go a ways back before I find another one of his teammates.
Behind him is Jack Baker for Australia. Then in ninth, it's Boren for Texas. Anthony Kernick for Australia as well in 10.
I think I have to go all the way back maybe to 15th position back there with Isaac Dominguez running. I don't think there's another Iberian driver ahead of him. So, well, that's good for Guerrero to be up there. I don't think he has the depth. I don't think that team has the depth. Texas, on the other hand, though, we're looking at Baker in 8th, and then 9th is Boren. And it looks like, oh, Baker's Aussie, sorry.
Can't get too biased with those Americanized names there.
Shame on me.
Yeah, credit to Baker, sitting in 8th at the moment. He's not doing too bad. Now, back to P5. What's going on here? Sounds like Yoni might have lost that position.
No, Yoni was in 6th and finally had enough there and got around Timu into 5th spot. Now I think we'll see what Guerrero can do now with the new guy to hunt.
In fact, he's gotten a lot closer. He's about half a second behind. I'm not sure if that's just because of them swapping positions or what. I'm assuming that change happened probably coming into the Casio chicane.
Yeah, you know, if Timo lets Guerrero around, he's not going to be invited to the Lukefish dinner there that they're going to have. Of course,
Lukefish dinner with some champagne, I'm sure.
That's it. And mashed rutabagas, I hear, is good. So, done a little research, see. I don't come into these things unprepared. Mashed rutabagas.
Here we look over the rear wing of the Finnish driver, Timu Whitelake, we're being told. He is definitely under threat. You can see just how close Fernando is. If he can get a good run off of one of these corners, I think he'd have an opportunity. Let's continue to stay on this, but just an update. Rico Alatalo has lost a bit of the time that he has gained on the leader. It's back up to 2.2 seconds. Once again, Fernando just cannot get the car that little bit farther forward to try and run down Timu. See if he can break into the forces that are Club Finland. Boy, this is... I'm sure it's not as exciting for the viewers, but this is something that'll go down in World Cup history if the Finnish team can take the semifinals by storm and get a perfect score, absolute perfect score. And not only that, but have their 6th place man up there.
Yeah, from oval and road. And one can only imagine what's going on in the lesser split. Hey, there's a great battle going back on here for 12th position. Let's jump back to Clark Archer right now in a great battle with Brett Wilson.
Tried to get him coming out of the chicane. Now he looks down to the inside. Wilson trying to see if he can get the line, but he's not going to be alongside, so it's nothing doing down into turn 1, and he slots back in the line.
That's Team Texas up in front there, followed by Team Australia.
Australia, New Zealand, we should say.
Australia, New Zealand. You can tell that there's a little black on that Australia, New Zealand car there.
Can't discredit New Zealand being an important part of that club. Oh, and a mistake up from Archer. Gives another opportunity to Wilson, but he has nowhere to go coming through Dunlop, and he backs out of it by the time they get to Degner. Sounds like something might be happening with Bourne. He's still
Bourne
coming
is in
out
the wall.
Yeah, coming out of Spoon. Another place where it's very easy to lose it. We're going to look at the replay. I think that car is done. He's coming to a standstill again. He's going to have to get a tow. I think that was just plain driver error getting on the power, and she comes around. Bourne for Team Texas. Now, that was the other surprise for me, Bill, as I was watching that oval race. I expected that Texas would have their opportunity to really shine on that oval side, and they didn't show as well as I thought they would.
Yeah, again, it's hard to say whether it's lack of practice or just lack of getting the big names out there.
Indeed. If in case you forgot, Joni Tormala is still up at the front. Been leading this race since lap 1.
Just over a 2-second lead back to his partner.
About 2.5. So he's actually, since we noticed that Riku had gained, he has extended it once again. So I think he's responded. He's either he made a mistake earlier, or he's just realized, well, time to hit the hurry up button and give myself a little bit of cushion. I'm sure these guys each still want to win for their club. Now, wait a minute. Am I... Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I was looking at Eunice, and I thought that the car in front of him was Fernando, being in red for Iberia, but it's Isaac Dominguez, who's actually being put a lap down.
But what has happened as you look down the straightaway at those blue finished cars coming at you there, Yanni Blackman has been able to pull away from Whitelick a little bit, and Guerrero is able to hold right in there at 7th spot. So clearly, Yanni was being held up.
If we had to give a drive of the race so far to someone other than the practically perfect Finns, it would have to be Fernando. He has kept the pressure on. He hasn't been making mistakes, knocking on wood here, and just doing what he needs to do. If he can't find an opportunity, just stay close and wait to see if if a hole will open somewhere along the way.
Yeah, you're going to have to get your satisfaction wherever you can here, and certainly breaking up the Finnish domination up front would say a lot. So 6th place is like a win.
I think we had a mistake from Joni Backman actually coming out of the hairpin. He lost a fair bit of time spinning the tires, but he didn't spin it. Kept the car straight. But that has backed him up into his teammate Timu. There we can see the two of them heading down the back straight towards 130R. Guerrero still giving chase now as they head towards the Casio chicane.
And the iRacers in our YouTube chat could argue and complain about this, but honestly, here's a car going in the pits.
Are we going to see
going
pit
in the
stops?
pits? Well,
So we
what
called
do
it
you
wrong.
know?
And we've had about 4 or 5 cars in the pits. I'm not sure if those are all Finns. I think they've continued on, actually, so it looks like those are only 2 Finns that have stopped. And Guerrero has not stopped. Now, does he have the speed? Can he try and jump these guys on pit strategy?
Well, if I'm Guerrero's crew chief right now, I keep him out until the car's running on the rims. If the Finns are going to come in, but they're all going to come in. It'd be interesting to see if all 6 of the Finnish drivers come in.
We're about 25 minutes into this race. 45. It's a timed race on the roadside.
Now those 2 drivers are back out. Blackman and Whitelick are both out, and they're currently running 6th and 7th. So you can really do pit stops pretty quick here.
Well, I wouldn't think that they would need much fuel.
No, it's probably just rubber on, rubber off type thing. And
Yep. Now here's the question, though. I want to see our leader, Joni. Is he going to come in? Yes, he is. Okay, I was curious to know if maybe they had split their strategies and everybody else was going to try and go the full length. And this could just be a case of covering themselves off. We saw that 5th and 6th only lost 1 position each. So if they make these stops, then they're going to be on fresher rubber. They can run better laps. This could just be a safety measure by them, knowing that they've got such a lead. And Fernando Guerrero heads on into the pits.
He's coming in too.
I know we had plenty of Finns watching. Maybe some of them could enlighten us in the YouTube chat. Let us know what the strategy is now that at least it's played out. There we see our leader heading back out on the track. Now somewhere in that, Tomi Haka has caught up to these guys. Oh, and here's an important thing happening in the race. Fernando up to 6. He has jumped Timu. Finally, something in the armor of the Finns has broken.
Came in and got out ahead of the 2 cars that pitted early.
Now,
it's
not going to do a whole lot, but, that's a moral victory, I think, for Team Iberia.
Well, what happened is those 2 cars came in. They might have been holding up Guerrero, and Guerrero was finally able to run some laps at his pace and was able to make up the speed on the 1 or 2 laps that he stayed out extra.
That's kind of what I was figuring, that he was being held up just slightly. Unfortunately for him, he's still behind Joni, and I'm not sure that if he was having trouble trying to get past Timu, then I don't know that he's going to be able to get past Joni without a big mistake from him to give him an opportunity. This aero wash seems to really be making it difficult to get close to anybody. Let's go back up to P3 because Tommy is right on top of his teammate. Now, don't expect these guys to battle because they're not going to want to risk their cars, but will we see there be team orders?
Be curious to see how they cross the finish line on the 45th
Another
minute.
6 wide?
If they do like a flying V across.
Flying F for Finland, I suppose.
There we go.
Yeah, I have no doubt, especially as the Finns like to joke about themselves, how much they like to drink. I'm sure that The alcohol will be flowing tonight for Team Finland.
Oh, here's a spin. Brett Trozine has spun it. He was in a great battle. Maybe we can get that on replay with Brett Wilson. Those guys were fighting for position.
We're seeing if we can pull up the replay. And where was that?
Again, it was in the hairpin, and it's kind of the accident I've seen where under braking and the car just gets loose and then sits right in the middle of the track.
I'm not seeing Trocine spin. Oh. Was it another driver potentially?
No, I must have.
Brett Wilson, maybe?
You're right, though.
All right, well,
you know what?
Phantom spins on Bill's screen.
Well, let me explain. It just happened on lap 14, so it was a ways back. I apologize for that.
There we go. So we're one lap off on that one.
It was very exciting.
Trocine still sitting in P12. He's behind Archer and a little bit ahead up the road of Oliver Searles. Excuse me. I need to get someone to help me out with that name. Now Guerrero still within half a second of Yoni. But unfortunately for him, he's also being slowed up back into Timu. So yeah. White Lake might have an opportunity to get Fernando back. He's got about 15 minutes left to try and solidify that Finnish domination. He is very close.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy who finishes 7th when everybody on your team finishes 1 through 5. That's a lot of pressure. That's more pressure to finish 6th than it is to actually win.
Would they kick him out of the sauna? I don't know what the punishments are in Finland for these sorts of things.
No lutefisk.
There you go. Definitely a close battle that we're watching, and this is for 5th, 6th, and 7th overall. Coming out of the slow hairpin, one of the opportunities to not have to worry about that downforce. But once again, not able to really get himself a nice run.
And now the leaders are beginning to come up on some lap traffic. They just went through Brett Trozine in 12th position now. Second place driver is being held up behind Trozine, losing a lot of time. Now he's going to get around him.
Thankfully, his teammate who was threatening him, Tomi Haka, was not able to do anything on that. However, it looks like Trocine's only going to give him 1 position. Now he gets out of the way. Now, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think Tommy would like that.
Brett tried to slow down and let him get to the apex, but mistimed it. They almost came together at the apex there.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be going too wide through turn 1. That is a fast corner in these high downforce cars. Sounds like Koenig might have disconnected. Anthony Koenig, who is racing for Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, we're seeing that he's manually disconnected, so he must have had some trouble along the way. Let me see if I can dig up what happened to him.
That was the Down Under's top club driver. Let's do that for them.
With it being a manual disconnection, we know that he didn't have an internet issue. Looking and seeing. Oh, he ran into the wall in the S's, it looks like. Oh, at the exit on Dunlop. In fact, he might have simply had a hardware issue because he was straight lining it. We might be able to get a replay. It looked very suspicious to me. I'm thinking that he had a hardware problem somewhere along the way because he hit the wall and then that car just went straight into the other wall. Here we're going to see it. Out of the S's, up into Dunlop. Starts to get a little loose, hits the inside wall. And then on out to the outside wall and doesn't even try to avoid anything.
That's when you're glad you're a sim racer and not a real world racer.
Yeah, really. Let's go through the order for our viewers, since we're hitting about 11 minutes to go on the clock. Yoni.
Oh!
Still
Go to Bachmann. There's a pass for the lead is pass for fifth. Yes, I'm sorry. Guerrero made a move on him. He had him.
Tried around the outside of 1 and 2, but couldn't quite get it done. Now into the S's, he has to drop back. That dirty air coming off of Joni Bachmann, just making it impossible to stay close through these set of medium speed left and right corners.
He was there, though. He was side by side, and Bachmann took a defensive line into one, and Guerrero had nowhere to go. But certainly maybe he's learning a little bit. Try that again next time around.
Well, if Iberia manages to make the wild card into the final round, I think Fernando Guerrero is certainly going to be the ace up the sleeve for that team. He is doing very well compared to the Finns. In fact, the only driver we've seen who's been able to do anything about their performance.
Yeah, certainly has the pace to run with the third, fourth, and the lower tier drivers of Finland. Not sure if he has enough for what's up front, but giving these guys back here, all he did one is he's chasing them now. He's in a finish sandwich with 2 Finns on each side of him. Well, this is where he had a great exit last time. Was able to have a lot of momentum down the straight. Too far back this time to make a move.
Thankfully, he's far enough ahead of Timu as well, so Timu's not able to try and make a dive.
But they're coming up on a lapped car of Oliver Searless. So we'll see how he does. That's a Australian New Zealand driver.
Could be a fly in the ointment depending on where they catch him. Right now is not a good place. If they get him after the Degner corners, that could be a chance for him to pull over. Closing in quicker and quicker. What is Joni going to do with this lapped car? And it looks like he's going to catch him at the right time. There he goes. He slows down, lets them through. No dramas. Joni breathes a sigh of relief, I'm sure. And something has happened with the lead, as Joni is now within a second of Riku, or vice versa, if you want to see it that way. Riku's closed up on his teammate.
And while that was going on, Isaac Dominguez has had some trouble. That was your next top Iberian driver running in 13th position. He's dropped a few. He's spun around a little bit.
As we like to say on GSRC, it is not over until the checkered flag falls. Right now it looks like Finland has it, but we cannot call it until this race is over. Of course, if we wanted something to spice things up, now would be the time for that commentator's curse to kick in.
Well, I think unless Finland, the actual country, sinks into the North Sea, I think with 8 minutes to go, I think at least it's safe to say they are going to win this round. We don't know who the actual winner is going to be.
You're the one who was saying that it's going to take a meteor, so where's the astrophysics in your brain right now? Can you tell us if anything on the horizon is going to switch things up here?
I think they're safe. Hopefully they will. Hopefully these Finnish drivers will not go the way of the dinosaur, but
No.
I think Guerrero, though, still making a run, still has a chance to get Bachmann.
Could yet still see some spice in this race, and it's not that we don't want Finland to win. We are impressed and just floored at the absolute incredible performance that they've put on. What we want is some exciting racing happening out here today. And right now, with Finland in most of these top spots, fortunately, we're not getting to see a whole lot. Fernando Guerrero is doing his best to try and give us that. Oh, and the lead is on. Riku has caught him. Are we going to see a pass for the lead? He looks to the inside of Joni. I don't think he's going to fight him too hard. No reason to. Up, down into turn one. And he lets it go.
There you go.
First lead change of this race with 6 minutes to go. And that will not sit well with Tormala, I'm sure, knowing that he's led so much of this race and makes a mistake near the end, giving up what could have been the win and a personal victory for him, though it doesn't affect the team. Well, now that that battle is over, let's go back as there's some lap traffic getting in the way here. That's Brett.
Oh, there it is.
He makes contact.
You got interesting.
I think Fernando caught a bit of that.
Guerrero
as well.
got a little bit of it. Yeah, Ferrero got a little bit of it on his front wing.
We're going to look at the replay. After that, I want to see if we can see any damage on Guerrero. He's starting to streak away, though, as that lapped car, Trocine, was holding up. And he, just turned in on him. I don't think he expected to try and stick his nose in. Yoni was not happy. He was getting vocal over the radio. Understandably so. I think that was just a miscommunication between lap traffic and a car trying to lap him. Now, let's get a close-up of Guerrero.
Right front wing is damaged, tipped in a bit.
The good news is that he's got about 2 seconds over Timu at the moment, so he's got a bit of a gap. So don't call this one in yet. So back up front, that gap has not increased, and Yoni's still about half a second behind Riku. He's not letting him get away. As we watch this battle, a little bit of luck has helped Fernando Guerrero of Team Iberia all the way up into the towering heights of 5th place.
Well,
a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work has gotten him there, I'd say.
Let me give you a little drama now. Yoni Bachmann, now running in 7th spot, has a 12-second lead on the driver who's chasing him, and that's Jack Baker. But Bachmann's car is not feeling that good.
I think the saving grace for Bachmann is the fact that these cars are very hardy. The DW12, if you watch them race in real life, and he almost spins coming through the S's, so he might still lose this place. I was going to say, these are very hardy, well-built cars, so they can take a little bit of a slam. Oh, and the fight is on for the lead.
Oh, here we go.
Whew, Yoni decides to back out of it, thankfully. Trying to go too wide into 130R. Bit of a bobble under braking for Riku. You were talking about that, Bill. Corner entry being difficult. Yoni has a great run coming off that final corner. This could be it. He looks to the inside. He's going to have a nose in, and Riku actually gives it up before they get to turning into turn 1.
Well, that's not polite driving, but let's take our hats off to those guys who don't need to be doing that. That's great. Putting on a little show for us.
So Yoni back up to P1.
It's hard to finish second no matter what the rules are.
So our order now, with about 3 minutes left. We're getting very close to the end of this race. Yoni Tormala in the lead. Rico Alatalo in second. Tommy Haka, in third. Yunus Nukarian in fourth. Fernando Guerrero up to fifth. Timu Whitelake into sixth. Yoni Bachmann down into seventh. Jack Baker in eighth. Brett Wilson currently ninth, and Clark Archer rounds out your top 10. In fact, only 8 cars on the lead lap currently.
Okay, now what did I say the time was back from Bachmann back to Baker? I think I said
12
it was
seconds?
like 12 seconds. Well, now it's 5 seconds. Now it's 3 seconds. Let's look at Bachmann. He is struggling. With 2 minutes to go, I don't think he's going to be able to hold off Baker.
I think that's the only car he has to worry about, too, because it's about a minute behind Baker, down to Brett Wilson.
It's down to under 2 seconds now.
If Baker has his F3 box open, he has got to be licking his chops. There's a wounded Finn ahead of him, and he's going to have some lap traffic as well, Oliver Searless.
Actually, I don't think he is. I don't think he's actually going to gain on Sion. I think Oliver actually got around him. That's
Unlapped himself.
Right. That's how much Bachmann is struggling here.
Should have about 2 laps to go, so we should see the white flag next time by. Here we ride on board with Jack, closing in down the backstretch. Guessing he's going to gain here through 130R. No. Oh, yes, he is.
Oh, yeah.
Great run off the corner. Doesn't force the issue down into Casio chicane. He knows he's closing fast. He knows he has time. And Yoni just a sitting duck, accelerating off that corner. Jack Baker slips to the inside, and insult is added to injury for Yoni Bachmann.
Good news is he'll be back for the finals.
I'd say that's a safe bet. About 30 seconds left on the clock. I think these guys should hit the line in time. Yoni Tormala coming through 130R. It's going to be very close, though.
Based on the kind of upfront fighting I was seeing between those Finns, I'm not sure we're going to see any type of three-way across the checker flag here. White flag is out.
I don't think so. They don't have any caution flags to allow them to do that finishing formation. So the white flag means one more lap to go, and it's Yoni in the lead. However, it's under threat under a second. Rico Alatala still chasing him all the way to the line. Well, I said earlier in the broadcast that I was searching for other words to describe just how dominant these Finns have been, and one word that comes to mind is this has been a clinic.
Something is wrong. Yoni Bachmann is incredibly slow. He may not be able to bring this thing home.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if he's out of fuel.
Oh, I bet you our director said he might be waiting for the leaders to come by so that he doesn't have to go that extra lap. He's got a 59-second lead on Brett Wilson, so.
Well, he might be caught because Yoni's coming up the back stretch. Bachmann is currently heading through the Casio chicane.
I think our director nailed it. I think he just doesn't want to have to drive around one more extra lap.
Tormala has 2 more corners to go through the Casio chicane. Nice and tidy. However, Rico Alatala botches it. Loses his last chance, but Yoni Tormala comes to the line and is going to win here at Suzuka in Round C of the iRacing World Cup. Rico Alatalo comes home second. Tomi Haka in third. Yunus Nukarayan in fourth. Fernando Guerrero. He's going to come home fifth unless he makes a mistake in this final corner. I think he's solid. Top 5 for Fernando Guerrero, the first non-finished driver that we're going to see across the line. And Teemu Whitelake is going to finish in 6th.
Looks like Jack Baker's going to take 7th. He's not racing a team-colored car, but I'm going to assume he's from Texas.
Nope, he's Australia. Australia, New Zealand.
Yes, you'd never assume.
And he's the last car on the lead lap. So shout out to Jack Baker. Nicely done. Kept it going. Didn't give up. Kept pushing. And that netted him a nice 7th place. With him crossing the line, we're going to take a break. Hopefully we get some of our guys from the race here in the chat so we can do post-race interviews with them. Also on the screen, we're going to have the upcoming broadcasts here on the Global Sim Racing channel. So don't go away with our interviews and the unofficial results coming up in a moment. Welcome back to Suzuka Circuit, where we just watched the C Heat of the iRacing World Cup. And as pretty much everybody expected, it was another rout by Finland, but not as dominating in the oval round, which is kind of strange, but still gave us a bit of excitement throughout the race. Joni Tormala was the one that came out on top for his Finland club. Riku Alatalo chased him the whole way to the line in second, and Tommy Haka finished in third, rounding out the podium. Jonas Nukarayan finished in fourth, and Fernando Guerrero with a gutsy drive to try and penetrate the defensives of Finland up into fifth place. Timu Valkijärvi, and I'm going to say Timu Whitelake, as I've been told, finished in sixth. Jack Baker finished in seventh, with Joni Backman having late damage due to trying to overtake a lapped car, finished in eighth. Brett Wilson came home in ninth, and Bill Clark Archer rounded out the top 10.
Brett Trozine. Now, these guys, starting from Bachmann, these are all a lap down. Trozine in 11th position, one lap down. Oliver Searless in 12th position. The Baker Does a spot goes to Sam Boren in 13th there. Isaac Garcia Dominguez in 14th. Anthony Kernich, now I believe he had connection problems. He's going to finish in 15th, 10 laps back. Then we get to Gabriel Perez in 16th. John Ulmer, we saw him with early trouble, 24 laps back in 17th. Martin Carell, 18th back. Scott Gruber, 19th. In 20th position, it was Joshua W. Anderson. And then John Alott in 21st. 22nd goes to Brenton O'Brien. And 23rd, rounding out the field, Darren McKenzie.
All right, we're ready for some interviews, and we're going to try and take in the Finnish club all at once here. We've got Joni Bachmann, Jonas Nukarayan, Jonas Puhaka, and Riku Alatalo. We're all going to pull into the booth here. Guys, it's a bit of an unusual finish between these two races. We would have expected you guys to have a complete first through six in the road round and not in the oval. Were you guys surprised by that, or did you expect to have a little bit of trouble this one?
Was that a pun?
Yeah, basically the only trouble we had was the one specific lapper who basically destroyed the possibility of top 5 finish, but outside of that we didn't pretty much have any problems. Teemu just had a problem focusing at the start, and he was basically holding me up, and then we decided to switch places. But outside of that, it was pretty clean run. No problems except with the lapper.
We wondered if there was any team orders on that, because we saw that Fernando was pressuring you guys. Is that what made you guys decide to swap places there, knowing that maybe you'd be under threat of him starting to overtake people?
No, it was just because I mean I knew I could escape him, but Teemu was holding me back because of lack of concentration. So we swapped places, and after that Teemu actually did drop a few spots. But then right before the pit stops, I had a funny moment at the hairpin and lost like a second and a half.
Up at the front, we saw that there was at least 2 changes for the lead between Joni and Riku. Was that another coordinated thing, or was that a legit battle for the lead?
Yeah, those were 2 idiots, despite all the team orders, just trying to go all at it for the win. No matter what you try to do, these idiots always go at it.
Well, you can tell them that we appreciated it, because it gave us at least a little bit of excitement in the booth to talk about it.
It's in the booth. Riku, you are an idiot, and you gave them fun.
Yeah,
Hey,
I agree. Race was good.
Let me
But
ask
you are a fast idiot.
let me ask a question. How many of you guys have actually had mashed rutabagas? I was doing some research. Is that a thing in Finland?
Mashed what?
Apparently not. I thought it goes with lutefish. Okay, is there a lutefish
That's a Swedish
party
thing.
for you? Oh, it's Swedish. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
You'll have to go back and watch the broadcast. Bill has been misnaming you guys a few times.
Well, congratulations to Finland, and good luck in the next round when you get to the championship.
Thank you.
Thank you. Or as we say in Finland, kiitos.
Ah, very nice. That was Joni Bachmann, Jonas Nukarayan, Jonas Puhaka, and Riku Alatalo, whose names I'm sure I'm absolutely butchering.
You can just say
Actually,
Ricky
no. You pretty much nailed every one of those names.
All right.
Wow.
Except
Haha.
my name is Ricky Atulu, so
There we go. Of course, I missed the easy one. You can thank Gerd Yanis for helping me with that. All right. Next up, we're going to talk to Ethan Moore. He is the Texas, or standing in Texas captain. He's the only other one that's jumped up in the ready for interview room. So we're going to pull him in and see how he thought the race went for his team on the roadside. Ethan, do you copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Bill, I'll let you talk to Ethan.
Ethan, tell me about how things went today for you.
It was a long day. I don't know if y'all know the American racing schedule out here this week, but we had the Texas Motor Speedway race this week, and then 2 weeks ago during the qualifier was the USGP. So we were a little bit at a loss for talent in the last 2 rounds, and we knew that we still could put together some sort of run, and figured we'd go for it anyways. Hopefully we could get a wild card slot. Everybody wants to take down Goliath, but it's always good to settle for the wild card too, and hopefully we get a shot at that still. I haven't looked at the points yet, but we definitely gave it what we could. Did pretty good in the oval side. We've always been a little bit better than the Europeans on the oval side, except for maybe Finland and maybe the UK. And we always have a little bit of a loss on the road side, which is more of our strength on the against the other U.S. clubs.
Yeah, that's the first thing I did was look on the first round of the heats to see how Texas did, because I really expected you guys to do better, and you were way down the list. And I think that really hurt you, because it hurts your wild card chances when you're put in there with when you get lumped in with those guys like Finland. Not a lot of room for points.
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to grab whatever scraps we can from the big guys.
Well, the good news is, looking at some of the results from the other heats, there were also some dominations from the number 1 seeds. So I think everyone's going to be. I think the wild card is going to come from guys who could grab the most scraps. Yeah,
absolutely. And I know Scandinavia put together a great run in Group B, and it'll be real close, hopefully, between us and them.
Well, congratulations and good luck to you in the future. And if Texas doesn't do it this time, we'll catch you next year.
All right, thanks. I'll see y'all next weekend for Pacific Majors.
Sounds like a plan. And Bill, you'll have to catch the bird flying around in your room once again. Sounds like it's got in the window.
Let the bird out.
All right. Well, we're going to close up today, and we're going to thank a few people. Obviously, a huge thanks to Mike Willett for organizing the World Cup along with his cohorts behind the scenes. He does a lot of thankless work to try and get this thing off the ground. Also, thanks to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer, and AverMedia, the software and hardware that we use to make our broadcast possible. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Special thank you goes out to Eric Ackholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcast. You can buy Eric's music on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Next race is going to be the Group D Oval. In fact, I think it's happening right now already. So if you want to switch over to that and watch to see how that's going, that's going to be the Xfinity cars once again. And that kicks off at 12:45 a.m. UTC. We also have upcoming races for other series on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.